Welcome to the Carmen Estate. I'm here to experience one of their world-renowned coffee tours at El Carmen Mill, founded in 1930 by Don Agustin Alfaro Moran. For 4 generations, the family has preserved their traditional methods of producing what the world now calls gourmet coffee. I may not be a coffee drinker, but I am a history lover. So, I've promised myself to give the coffee a fair chance and, perhaps, learn to appreciate not only the drink, but the legacy and craftsmanship behind it. Before we begin, I'd like to offer my sincere thanks to some truly extraordinary supporters: Carol, Laura, Terry, Karen, Bree, Victor, and Will. Your generosity, kindness, and faithful encouragement continue to make these adventures possible, and I'm truly grateful for your ongoing support. Last week's top comment goes to Smooth Jay-Z. As someone from the United States, I rarely watch travel videos about my own country. So I'm always fascinated by how many Salvadorans enjoy watching videos about El Salvador. That's become one of the most rewarding surprises of this journey. I'm so glad you're here. To all who continue to share your thoughts, thank you. I read every comment, and they mean more than you know. Please keep them coming. I've started a channel membership. If you're interested, click subscribe and then join for more details. I'm back in El Salvador's beautiful northern mountains, along the famed Ruta de Las Flores, heading to a place nestled between Apaneca and Concepción de Ataco. Because apparently I enjoy learning the same lesson over and over again, I can confirm the main roads are excellent. The moment you leave them, however, it becomes an adventure sponsored by your suspension. Thankfully, I don't have far to go. I've arrived at my destination, where this kind gentleman is enthusiastically directing me to the right. There's just one tiny problem. That's the wrong way. I'm supposed to be going left. In his defense, he assumes I'm like everyone else, just here for a tour. He has no idea I'm staying the night. In my defense, I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing, so I don't know to try to speak to him and clarify. Upon turning right, my first impression is, I'm staying in a barn. An actual barn. I'm mentally preparing myself for a roommate named Buttercup. But I'm easily distracted from that initial disappointment because horses. Priorities. I happily hand my camera to the stable hand, but this horse is too skittish to let me pet it now. I'll try again later. After finding someone who speaks English, I learn I'm not sleeping in the barn after all. I'm actually staying in the sprawling mansion across the street. Talk about an upgrade. I went from wondering if I needed to learn how to milk a cow to wondering if I accidentally booked myself into an episode of Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. Honestly, nothing could have prepared me for just how beautiful this place is. Now that I've officially been granted permission to park behind the gate, welcome to La Casona, literally the big house, the original home of the century-old El Carmen coffee plantation. Sitting more than 4,000 feet above sea level, I'll be spending the night surrounded by mist, mountains, and enough lush greenery to make my houseplants, which I can barely keep alive, jealous. Let's take a look around. I've just met the caretaker of the home. If you've ever seen the 1940 film noir, Rebecca, she gives off strong Salvadoran Mrs. Danvers energy. Very proper, very mysterious, the kind of person who looks like she knows every secret this house has kept for the last 100 years. She told me I can choose whichever room I want. And I thought, awesome. I'm the first one here. I'll show you the other options, but this is the one I picked. She handed me a wonderfully old-fashioned key that looks like it belongs in a haunted mansion, which is always reassuring. Of course, this is El Salvador, so despite having what appears to be the skeleton key to a Victorian mystery novel, I don't even feel the need to lock the door.
I was told there's hot water, so fingers crossed for hot water. Okay, so when you book online on their website, you're just making a reservation. They don't charge you yet, so you have to pay that when you get here. I asked, should I pay it now or should I pay it tomorrow when I check out? And I was told whenever, so I just went ahead and paid it now because I also wanted to pay for one of the tours. So you pay, if you're paying by credit card, perhaps any way that you're paying, but definitely if you're paying by credit card, you pay at the restaurant, which is across the street. And so according to this paperwork, where I just paid at the restaurant, I'm now no longer just reserved, I'm officially confirmed. I've also paid for a tour. So now that I've Google translated this, you have access to private parking, Wi-Fi, TV, private bathroom. There's 24/7 security, and the place is pet friendly. It also says that everything is just for you or for the people that are on your reservation. You can't have any guests, so I'm the only one who's now allowed in this room that I have. If you want to do anything extra, coffee tour, horseback riding, canopy tour, maybe go-kart or whatever else, you pay for that individually and you have to discuss it with the person in charge. I already discussed that with somebody that I want to do that tour at 3 o'clock today. Any activity is subject to prior approval. Breakfast is included. It's desayuno típico. I don't really know. I'm sure that's like eggs and probably some plantains. Probably mix some ham in there with the eggs. Maybe some fruit. I don't really expect there to be anything that I can eat with that other than the plantains, but I'm going to check it out because, again, this is very interesting and historical to me. But the good news is Concepción de Ataco is like literally right there, like 5 minutes, if that, from here. So if I don't get full breakfast here, then I can go over there. No biggie.
Now it's time to explore the rest of the house.
Here are a couple of other rooms I could have chosen right here next to mine. This place is huge. This is one end with some other bedrooms that I could have chosen, but they all have three beds. So I'm happy with the one that I chose because it has 2 beds and the beds seem to be a little bit larger. Oh my goodness, these corridors. It's amazing to think about, for me anyway, the history that happened here. 100 years. Okay, we're back where we started, about at my room. The breakfast room is to the left.
The inside is so magnificent that you might forget to go outside. That would be a mistake.
I had a dream last night. Did everything I never do in real life. I stepped into a room, told everyone to be quiet, cause I had something to say, blew everybody away. Wear whatever I want, dressed in a gown, everybody's like, why, where you going, nowhere special, just going to the store. I think I'd have it all, tell you I have even more. Picking a plate, being a plate, she is unruly. Never seen her like this, didn't think it existed, no truly. Don't get in her way, she's not here to play, she'll get moody. But don't mistake this girl for being me, cause these are dream rules. This is someone else, I'm not myself, no. Cause these are dream rules. This is someone else, I'm not myself, no. Living in my dreams all night. Living in my dreams all night. Living in my dreams all night. She can make all the problems disappear. She could tell you the things you wanna hear. She could read your mind and then she could believe all the little lies you tell yourself at night. Never get it wrong, it's always right. Making a plate, being a plate, she is unruly. Never seen her like this, didn't think it existed, no truly. Don't get in her way, she's not here to play, she'll get moody. But don't mistake this girl for being me, cause these are dream rules. This is someone else, I'm not myself, no.
When I signed up to come to a coffee plantation, I wasn't expecting it to be a garden. I wasn't expecting it to be this beautiful. What's funny is what I saw when I initially got here across the street, the barns and just kind of like, I don't know, utilitarian vehicles. That's what I was expecting. That looked right. This is beyond words. It's so calm. It's so quiet. This place is so beautiful. What do you think of the Carmen Estate? Is it what you were expecting? If not, what surprised you the most? The mansion or the gardens? Or something else entirely? Let me know in the comments. While you're at it, please click the like button. It helps, more than you know. I'm not the only person here, but I am the only person who's just kind of like chilling, roaming around the grounds, not on a tour, not being rushed. My car is the only car in the private parking lot. I'm kind of wondering if I'm the only one staying here tonight, which if I am, that worries me just a little bit. Like, I'm not scared by any means, but there's no way that there's a place this old. There's no place that's 100 years old that does not have ghosts. Let me just check. Is anybody else's car over here? No, it's still just my car. Oh God, it's just me tonight.
Just like the wind, just let it pass through, just let it pass you and just look what you found. Yeah, you know that it was about time. Yeah, it's new now, cause you left all the baggage behind. Took a chance and just look what you found. Yeah, you know that it was about time. Yeah, just like the wind, just let it pass through. Just put it past you. You do what you do. Just like the wind, just let it pass through. Just put it past you. You do what you do.
To explain the history of coffee in El Salvador, I actually need to go back to medieval Europe. So, buckle up.
During the Middle Ages, European nobles held vast tracts of land known as fiefs, worked by serfs who were bound to the soil by birth. A serf was born a serf, married within that station, bore children destined for the same fate, and died, having never escaped it. Though feudalism had faded from Europe by the dawn of the modern era, its echoes persisted far beyond, most notably in Central America.
Let's fast forward. In the early 19th century, El Salvador's economy revolved around one lucrative export: indigo, just as it had for centuries.
This deep blue dye, essential to the global textile trade, could be cultivated across a wide range of terrains. As a result, wealthy landowners selected the most accessible or convenient lands for production, while relegating the more remote or ecologically scarred regions, particularly those marred by volcanic activity, to the poor and indigenous populations who subsisted on small-scale farming. However, the close of the 19th century brought a dramatic shift. The invention of synthetic dyes rendered natural indigo obsolete on the world market, leaving Salvadoran families scrambling for their livelihood.
In response, El Salvador's elite turned to a new crop, coffee, whose demand was rising rapidly. Unlike indigo, coffee was far more selective. It thrived best in rich, fertile soil found on volcanic slopes.
Ironically, the very lands once deemed undesirable and abandoned to marginalized communities now became prime real estate. In pursuit of profit, the landed elite, wielding control over the legislature and presidency, enacted highly unethical but legal mechanisms to dispossess the communities of their ancestral lands. What followed was a wave of forced removals, and by the end of the century, the vast majority of Salvadorans had been stripped of their land, their plots absorbed into sprawling coffee plantations that enriched the few at the expense of the many.
In the late 19th and early 20th century, El Salvador was dominated by an oligarchy often referred to as Las 14 Familias, the 14 families.
While the name is symbolic rather than literal, likely referencing the country's 14 administrative departments, it encapsulates the concentration of wealth and power in the hands of a narrow elite. These families controlled the majority of arable land, turning vast portions of the country into sprawling coffee estates. For the rural poor, many of whom were descended from indigenous communities dispossessed of their lands, their role still resembled that of medieval serfs, bound by poverty, constrained by law, and trapped in a rigid social order that offered neither mobility nor reprieve.
The Coffee Republic spanned from approximately 1871 to 1927, an era when Coffee was the lifeblood of El Salvador's economy and the symbol of its elite. The Carmen Estate arrived just beyond that golden age, missing it by a narrow margin. Yet, while most plantations that flourished during the Republic's zenith have vanished, Carmen endures. That's not mere longevity. It's a testament to resilience, legacy, and the quiet strength of continuity.
And so, standing amid the slopes of Concepción de Ataco, the history feels almost tangible. The story of coffee here is not merely one of beans and flavor, but of land, lineage, and labor. Every plantation in these highlands carries echoes of that transformation. The shift from subsistence to export, from dependency to independence. As I prepare to begin the tour at El Carmen Mill, I can't help but see it as more than a stay at a picturesque estate. It is a walk through the living remnants of that era, a place where the legacy of the Coffee Republic still hums beneath the rustle of the leaves and the steady rhythm of drying beans. What was once the engine of inequality has, in time, become a symbol of craft, endurance, and national identity. Here, history and harvest intertwine, and it's time to see how those centuries of change are reflected in every cup. Stay curious, be inspired, find freedom, wander elsewhere. I'll see you in the next one, where we'll learn how one of El Salvador's oldest coffee mills transforms a simple cherry into one of the world's finest brews.